Hello, good morning. This is Ravi.
Good morning. This is John Ellis with Department of Community Affairs.
Good morning. This is Ravi Shankar with Action. Do we need to stay on mute?
If you wouldn't mind, I'll make some opening remarks here in just a few minutes. So yeah, if you could mute until we get to the part where we're asking for introductions and questions, that would be great.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Sure. For folks who are just now joining, if you could mute till we get to the introductions and questions section, that would be great.
Recording this call, is it going to be available afterwards?
Yes, it will be.
Thank you.
Sure. So I have 9:01. I'm going to get us started. First is just a housekeeping rule. If you could please mute yourself and until we get to introductions and open the floor for questions, that would be very helpful. So my name is John Ellis. I'm the Chief Operating Officer for the Georgia Department of Community Affairs. This is the Bidders Conference for the DCA Grants Management System. The purpose of this meeting is to allow interested firms the opportunity to ask us some clarification on the RFP posted back in February. And I'm going to pause. If you're not muted, I'm hearing a little background noise. I'd appreciate if everyone would mute if you can. And let me just give a quick overview of the meeting. We're going to have some introductions on our side, and then I'll open it up for the other participants to introduce themselves. And once we do that, we're going to go over some of the meeting rules. I'll give you a little bit of a background and description of the project. And then we'll open it up for a Q&A session. And then we'll wrap it up by just providing you reminders of key dates and some key resources. I'm first going to start by introducing the members of our panel who may be fielding some of these questions. And before I get there, once again, if we have anyone on who's not, if you would mute, because we're hearing some background noise, that would be great.
Hey, John, maybe if people use *6 on the call-in users, I'm looking at none of the call-in users are muted.
Okay, thank you,
All the
Aaron.
call-in muters to callers to mute.
Yes.
So, again, call-in users, if you are on the phone, if you will hit *6 for us, please. All right.
There we go. Thank you, Aaron, for saving the day. So I'll start. I mentioned my name is John Ellis, and I am the Chief Operating Officer for DCA. We also have with us on the call Demetria Jones. She is the Agency Procurement Officer. I believe we have William Dews, who is the DCA Accounting Director. We also have Kenny Rankin, who is our Chief Information Officer. Aaron Cartwright is our Chief Technology Officer. And we also have Brian Walker, who is with Accenture and has been assisting us up through this procurement process. So I'm going to pause again and remind anybody who's calling in, if you're not introducing yourself, if you'd please use *6 to mute your phone.
You can also mute everyone yourself if you want. Go up to the participant up on the toolbar and mute all.
Thank you. That was my next stop.
Okay.
John.
I'm looking on the wrong toolbar, but I do now. Thank you. Which we'll use in a minute, but right now I'm not going to do that because I'm going to ask for introductions.
Okay.
So I'd like to start with any introductions of the DCA staff who are on the call that I haven't already identified as part of the panel. So let me look here. Rob, would you introduce yourself, please? Rob Shaw, if you're talking, it looks
yes,
like
sorry, I was on mute, John. Hi, this is Rob Fries from Accenture, and I've been working with Brian supporting DCA and John and everyone at DCA. I just want to thank you for all the hard work you're doing during this COVID time period.
Great, thank you, Rob.
And if I could just add, just looking at the list, I don't know Rob Shaw, but it looks like he's now muted himself. That's where some of the sound was coming from. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Well, we'll go to Rob Shaw. Rob, will you introduce yourself for us?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, this is Rob Shaw. I run a lot of the database systems that we currently have for the community development block grants and state loan and grant systems.
Thank you. Christy Walker.
Hello.
Hey, Christy.
Hi, how are you?
Good, good.
I'm Christy Walker
In your role?
I'm Christy Walker and I am the senior finance manager with Office of Homeless and Special Needs.
Thank you. Dave Wisnett, would you introduce yourself to the group?
Sure. Good morning. This is Dave Wisnett. I am the division director for the Housing Assistance Division.
Thank you. Demetrius, can you introduce yourself?
Hi, good morning. I'm Demetrius Braun, and I'm the accounting director for GHFA.
Thanks, Demetrius. Kim Carter.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Kim Carter. I'm with the Office of Community Development, which oversees the Community Block Grant Program.
Great. Rusty, if you're on, will you introduce yourself?
Yes, thank you, John. Good morning, everyone. I'm Rusty Haygood, Deputy Commissioner with our Community Development and Finance teams with the Department of Community Affairs.
Excellent. Thank you. Are there any other DCA staff that I didn't get to? Okay. So I'm going to then ask folks as I see them in the participant list to introduce yourselves. Billings.
Good morning. This is Ben Billings, Vice President with GCR.
Good morning. Thanks for joining us. Bernie Hillier.
I'm Bernie Hillier. I'm the Director of Software Development at MB3.
Thank you. Then I have somebody who's on as Bond Lux.
Hello, yeah, this is Bond Lux. I'm Principal Consultant with HTC Global.
Thank you. Brad Eads.
Good morning, this is Brad Eads, and I am, wow, don't know where that came from. This is Brad Eads. I'm with Rowan IT Solutions out of Lafayette, Indiana.
Thank you. So on my screen, I have call-in user 2. I'm not sure if you're a call-in user 2, you know that you are, but.
Well, hi, good morning. That might be me. My name is Yule Gentle, and I'm with Salesforce.
Thank you.
Okay, you actually came in as call-in user 3, though.
Okay, I
So
wasn't
Yule
sure. I'm not.
Gentry. Okay.
Yule Gentle. Yeah, I'm not on the WebEx, so wasn't sure. But thanks, and glad to be here.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Call-in user 2. Is there anyone who called in under that?
Can you hear me? This is Kevin French from Amplifund.
Hi, Kevin.
I don't know if that's me, caller user 2, but this is Kevin French from Amplifund.
You came in as call-in user 8, Kevin.
Okay.
8. Sorry. I don't know
That
how.
way we can. No worries. That way we can identify you. I'm trying to keep track here.
Okay. Yeah, sorry.
Aaron, is there a
Can you
better
hear me?
way to have folks identify themselves that are call-in users?
No, since they're dialing in on the phone, but as they speak, we can see who's speaking. So
Okay.
now P. Gorman is trying to speak, and it looks like he's calling user 4.
Okay.
Okay, I'm calling user 4. This is Paul Gorman. I'm with ImageSoft.
I am probably calling user 2. This is Ravi Shankar with Acteon. We are a registered consulting partners of Salesforce.com, and we are also an ISV partner of Salesforce.
Yes, you are calling user 2.
Do we have another call in?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
This is David Farr with Ivalua.
Thank you. Next call in user. Have we gone through all of the folks who have called in? Okay, I'm going to ask Charlene Bortot to introduce herself.
Good morning. This is Charlene Bortot. I'm the Director of Operations at MB3, which is a GCR company.
Thank you. Chris Stassen?
Hi, this is Chris Stassen. I'm the Director of Client Services for MB3, which is a GCR company.
Great. So have I missed introducing one of the DCA staff? I see DCA Housing Finance and Development. D. Klepfer.
Hello.
So does D. Klepfer introduce themselves? Okay, I'm going to move on to Joseph Rodriguez.
I'm from HTC Global Services and directing projects.
Thank you. Mark Hollingshead.
Yes, I'm with Cyber Global LLC, and I'm a Director of Public Sector.
Thank you. How about Martin Greenlee?
Yes, this is Martin Greenlee with Neighborly Software based out of Atlanta, Georgia.
Thank you. P. Gorman.
Yeah, this is Paul Gorman with ImageSoft.
Okay, thanks. Ravi Shankar.
That is me. This is Ravi Shankar with Actian. I've already introduced myself.
Very good. Thank you. How about Rod Thornhill?
Good morning. This is Rod Thornhill. I'm the Chief Operating Officer with MB3, a GCR company.
Great. Steve Carter.
Good morning. I'm Steve Carter with Encapsulate. I'm a Director of Public Sector out of Washington, D.C.
And T. Hennessy.
Sorry, muted. Tim Hennessy, I'm the Senior Client Partner for Cyber Global.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone I've missed at this point? Well, thank you. I appreciate y'all hanging in there with this little bit of a clunky system for doing a bidders conference, but obviously just the new world we're living in these days. At this point, I'd like to ask Demetria Jones, our agency procurement officer, if she can say a few words about the meeting rules. Demetria?
Good morning, everyone. This meeting is being recorded, as John has stated, and it will be available for review by any bidder on the Georgia Procurement Registry or the Team Georgia Marketplace by 5 p.m. It is imperative that you respect the process of the procurement and not speak with staff during the meeting or in regard to this proposal outside of the meeting. If you have any questions, please send those questions to me via email at demetria.jones@dca.ga.gov. Back to you, John.
Thanks, Demetria. Just to make sure everybody caught that, our plan is to have this recording posted by 5 o'clock on Monday, the 27th. So anyone who needs to review it, so from the procurement registry, or if not the procurement registry, we'll place a notice there that it's available on DCA's website. So now I was going to spend just a few minutes giving y'all a little bit of a background on DCA, its grant programs, and our needs around a grants management system. So DCA is a state agency, relatively small in terms of state agency standards. We have about 400 employees, and our mission is to help build strong, vibrant communities. We have a wide variety of programs, over 70 programs that we administer, serving some very different and distinct client groups. But all of those programs really fall under three core businesses, and those are community and economic development, safe and affordable housing, and local government assistance. A big part of DCA's function in helping build strong, vibrant communities is delivering resources to local governments, nonprofits, and others. So we have 18 separate grant programs that we administer. And through those grant programs, we make around 500 awards per year. And those awards total a little over $200 million per year. Most of our grant funding is federal, and HUD is our primary funder on the federal side. We do have also a few state-funded grant programs. So in terms of our grants management system needs, we currently use 4 systems to manage our grant programs. The primary one is a FileMaker system. We also use Midas, eGrants, and Encore to manage all of those. Those systems don't integrate, and that makes it difficult for us to have an agency view of our grants management. In addition, applicants go through virtually 18 different processes to interact with us on grant funding, and many of our current processes are manual and paper intensive. So with that background, you can see why we're in the marketplace looking for an enterprise grants management solution. And what we're really looking for that at a very high level, what we're looking for that grants management solution to provide is to streamline and unify the process for our applicants, to help automate our manual processes, to reduce our reliance on paper, and to allow for agency-wide analysis and reporting on our grant program data and our outcomes. So that's a very high level who DCA is and what we're looking for in a grants management solution. So as we move now into the Q&A portion, let me say for those questions that come up during this meeting that we're able to answer here, we will obviously provide the answers. For those questions that are posed that may take some research or conferring, we'll ask you to email that question to Demetria, and she will compile that along with any other written questions we've received for us to publish written answers. And just as a reminder, the written questions are due to Demetria by noon on the 27th, Monday. And then we will post the questions and answers by May 1st at 5 o'clock. So with that, I'm going to open the floor to any questions from the group.
Hi, this is Yul Gentle of Salesforce.
Hello.
Good morning. The question I have in hearing about the different systems and the challenge of them not being integrated together, as part of the recommended solution, I see that, DCA is not part of the GETS agencies or program. So would the agency be open to recommendations of a integration platform to help connect, to help give that visibility of your new system?
So I'm actually going to bring in Kenny Rankin, our CIO, because I'm not positive I understand your exact question, but Kenny. Okay? So Kenny, I'll let you answer.
Thank you.
Sorry, I was muted. Yeah. Sorry, can you repeat the question for me, please?
Sure, thank you. My question was, as the current challenge right now with the systems not being well integrated together, with a recommendation of a new technology, if there's a need to do any type of integrations technology-wise, would the agency be open to that being part of a solution of an integration type of platform?
Oh, you mean to keep what we are currently using and just integrate all the solutions together? Is that what you mean?
Yes. And number one is if that is a thought, or also if there's a need to for a new system to be having any type of integration technology.
No, what we want to do is standardize on one platform and not have to support 5 different.
Okay, thank you very much for that.
Hi, this is Rod Thornhill. Just with a follow-up regarding the current systems that you have in place. Is the intent to migrate the data from those systems to this new system and then turn those systems off?
So I'll take the second part of that first. Yes, the intent is to turn those systems off and to be fully functional on one enterprise-wide grants management system. I think the degree to which we migrate old data over to the new system will really depend on the solution we have in place. So what I can't tell you today is we absolutely want 2 years of data from every system, and that's our expectation. I think some of this will be determined by the solution and the cost of those activities.
Thank you.
Sure.
Do any of your current systems, this is Paul Gorman with ImageSoft. Do any of your current systems integrate with IDIS, HUD's IDIS system? If so, are you balanced?
Yeah, and I'm going to let any of the program folks who deal with that most closely correct me, but my understanding is we don't have any integration with IDIS currently.
Okay.
Hi, this is Christy from Homeless and Special Needs, and no, we do not have integration. We use FileMaker, and we have to do it manually to check our numbers, to verify what John just said.
Thank you, Christy.
Thank you.
Hi, John, it's Rod. I'll jump in again. I have a series of questions, but I don't want to be hogging all the time. So I'll just work through one, go back and see if anyone else has anything, and then go from there. The RFP makes reference to initial software configuration. Can you talk about what initial software configuration means and whether or not that includes customizations where development would be required, and what would be the timeline for completing that after the award.
Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start answering that question, but I also may look to our partners with Accenture to add to my answer if needed. So really the software configuration that we're anticipating is understanding the possibilities within the solution that's selected and our current processes and figuring out where we need to marry those two. I will say, you know, we're looking for a solution that can meet our needs to the greatest extent possible with out of the box or some configuration customization and less development that's needed to meet those needs. So that's how we're really approaching this procurement. Is you may see, if you've looked at the procurement documents, there is a mandatory scored part 2 component. It's an Excel spreadsheet that lists all of the functionality we have interest in, with the ability for vendors to indicate if that's something that is out of the box, just a configuration to make it work, or you have to do some customization that requires development, or it's something that can't be done with the solution. I'm going to pause there just to see if either Brian or Rob wanted to add anything to that answer.
John, I think you covered that answer well. I don't have anything specific to add.
Okay.
And John, on the timeline piece of that?
Yeah. I'm sorry. So the timeline is what we're hoping is that we'd be able to identify and select a vendor by July 1. That might be a little ambitious for us given where we are right now, but that's our goal. And we're planning 6 months for that step of software configuration, with our first group, our first division, then to pilot test going live in January of 21. So 6 months, July through December for that step, and then first group going live in January.
Thank you.
This is Kevin French from Ample Fund. You had mentioned the part 2 on the functional requirement mandatory doc. I may have missed it, but there's the priorities. There's like 1 through 4. Was there a description of those rankings 1 through 4? Is that listed somewhere else, or what are the those rankings?
Yeah. So what I do know is 1 is the most critical for us. With 4 is the least critical. And I'm going to pause to see if Brian recalls exactly how we defined those 1 through 4.
I don't recall how we exactly defined the 1 through 4 outside of receiving the information from the employees of DCA and who engage with the system as they, as an effort to try to elevate certain aspects and above others. So there's no written definition that qualifies or boxes them outside of merely the number, separating the different aspects.
Just curious, while Brian, you're on the phone, I noticed in the RFP you talked about Accenture having involvement with change management, project management, and training. Is there an anticipation that Accenture would be involved with integrations with the different solutions?
Brian, you want me to answer that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So one thing I probably have mentioned earlier on is we engaged Accenture to help us through this defining our specific needs, understanding differences in our processes, coming up with system specifications that can meet those needs, and then helping us with the drafting of the procurement documents. And then right now, that's where and that's as far as Accenture would go. They're assisting us through that. They are not going to bid on this, nor will they be involved in the scoring or evaluating of proposals. But as we get to the implementation phase, we would be looking to engage Accenture to help us with implementation activities that would include some change management and training, but not integration activities.
Thank you.
And if I could just further add one additional point, John, this is Rob with Accenture. We, so many of you are probably familiar with the law under Georgia State Procurement Code. We are operating under that very specific provision and signed document with Georgia Department of Administrative Services in our support of DCA.
Thanks, Rob.
Would one of the activities that Accenture would be involved in after award be acting as the project manager?
No, plan to engage a project manager for the project.
Sorry, I missed the beginning of that, John. You have no plan, or you have a plan?
Yeah, our plan is to hire a project manager specifically for this implementation. That would be a DCA resource.
Okay.
Hi, this is Paul Gorman with ImageSoft. Have you put together a couple of questions? First, for the priorities 1 to 4, for some of the priorities, if we cannot do those priorities, we can't meet them all. Is that a pass fail?
So
are you looking for somebody to do as many as they can?
Yeah, it is not a pass fail. Yeah, so how we plan to use that document is just to get a sense of how each solution stacks up to our needs, recognizing it's very unlikely that we're ever going to find a solution that does everything we want it to do right out of the box. So it's not pass fail. It's looking for that solution that best matches our needs.
Okay, the follow-up question. Some of the items in there, it is possible for us to do, but you would take a substantial budget hit for us to try to basically create them from scratch. What would you advise a bidder to do in that instance? Would they be better off putting the budget numbers in there that would be required to do that, or indicate that this is probably not something you want us to try to do?
Yeah, I would say the latter. I think if it's some functionality that requires major effort on the vendor's part to make it do that, and there would be a significant cost with that, I think it's better just to indicate that's not what the solution does.
Okay. One last question, and then I'll start hogging the time here.
That's okay.
We looked at the requirements, the priorities 1 through 4, and determined that we could not meet all of them, but partnered with another vendor, we may be able to meet most of them. Are you interested in partnered responses when 2 vendors team up?
So I will say that is not something I'd even thought about. So my preference is for us to not answer that here, but include that in the bucket of questions we'll think about and get back to y'all, included in the written responses.
Hey, John, Steve Carter with Encapsulate.
Yeah.
Are there any functions of the solution where DCA staff would want to be out of the office? Any mobile capabilities, or is that they just like to be able to access from anywhere?
So mobile capabilities would be helpful if I'm understanding your question. We do have some field staff who have responsibilities to go out and inspect projects, do project reports. So there is a desire for those folks to be able to mobily do all of those things. Right now,
okay,
as people fill out reports and then they send it up to the central office for input.
All right, thank you.
John, Rod Thornhill again. Referencing the functional requirements worksheet, we're being asked to place an X in the appropriate column. If something requires customization or it's something that can't be provided, where would be the place? Is there an opportunity to provide an explanation of what the solution would look like in a customization scenario, or to explain why something wouldn't be provided? And part B to that, where would we indicate the cost of doing such customizations, or do we just build that into our overall pricing, total pricing?
So let me take the first part of that question. The way that part of the scoring is designed, there is no place for comments. So you'll have to choose one of those four as your answer. So let me also suggest that the question of how those answers impact what we expect from you in terms of the cost proposal, I'm going to add that as something I'd like to confer with folks, and we'll make that part of our posted answers.
Thank you.
Thanks.
John, it's Rod again. In the evaluation table, there's a solution category, which is worth 380 points. Can you talk about what document or documents that category refers to?
Yeah, so I'm going to see if either Brian Walker or Demetria, I think I know the answer to that one, but I want to be sure I give y'all the correct information for that.
Demetria, you want to take that?
Would you repeat the question?
Sure. There's a solution category in the scoring table worth 380 points. I'm just wondering what document or documents that category is referring to.
Would you submit that with the list of questions and then I'll get back to you with that?
Sure, no problem at all.
Okay, thank you.
Oh.
Are there any additional questions?
I have two more, John, it's Rod.
Okay.
The I guess the first one, the RFP refers to a solution being within DCA's financial means. Have you identified a budget for this project or application? And if so, is that something you're able to share?
So what I can say is we're just looking for the most cost-effective solution that we can find, and we'll really look to see what's out there in the market. So.
Okay, fair enough. And the next question, it talks about not having a performance bond, et cetera, and that there's going to be a 25% holdback based on the fixed price implementation cost for each identified deliverable. What are those deliverables identified already, or will they be identified after award?
So to make sure I give you the absolute correct information on that, because I'll probably talk with our general counsel. Would you mind also sending that as a written question, Rod?
Sure, for sure.
Thanks.
John, this is Chris Dyson from MB3. I'm just wondering, are you envisioning that the solution will be front-facing mainly for sub-recipients of the grants, or are you also looking for individual homeowners, for example, to be able to log in and submit applications? Can you talk a little bit who you're seeing will be logging into the system?
Sure. So we absolutely will need something where applicants can log into the system and submit application. And when I say applicants, that's largely local governments, government authorities, and nonprofit organizations. The vast majority of DCA's resources flow to other organizations. We do have some programs where we're directly assisting individuals, but they're not really encapsulated in this grants management system. However, those applicants we would need to be able to interact in the system, log in, see what's available. If they already have grants with us, see that information. But we also need something where Georgia citizens could view information about our grant programs. So, any individual, of course, that would be less robust in terms of what we would need to provide for just any individual who has an interest.
Perfect. Thank you, John. And just to clarify, for any citizen of Georgia who wants to view this information, I assume you're envisioning just an open public space to see whatever data you've deemed to be visible to them. They don't need a login, is what I'm trying to get to.
Yes, you're absolutely right.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, well, if there aren't any additional questions, I want to give you a couple of reminders. The due date for proposals is May 12th by 4:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And all proposal submittals should be submitted through Team Georgia Marketplace. And I'm going to ask Demetria if she will kind of wrap us up by offering some resources related to proposal submissions.
So we asked that if you have any problems uploading the document, viewing the document, submitting your proposals, please, please, please contact the Procurement Help Desk at 404-657-6000. Someone at DOAS will be able to assist you with your issue. If there's something that they can't fix right away, then they will be in contact with me if they feel that the solicitation needs to be extended to allow them an opportunity to fix the error. So please, please, please wait to the last minute. Try to and as soon as possible. When you submit your solicitation, you should receive an email stating that your submission has been received. Back to you, John.
Okay, thank you, Demetria. So I'm going to wrap up and just say thank you to everyone who's participated. Thank you for bearing with us as we do this virtually instead of in person. It would have been great to meet some of you in person, but I appreciate your participation. My final reminder is any questions you may have that you need a response from us, please funnel all of those through Demetria, through her email address, which again is Demetria, DEMETRIA.jones@dca.ga.gov. And one more reminder, it is Monday at noon for questions to be submitted. Thank you very much.
Thanks, everyone.